Welcome everyone to the first session of the cohort. Today's session is quite interesting. We have our very own Muhammad from TechieMatter, who is revolutionizing tech talent acquisition and onboarding. He's a fellow founder in Taqadam portfolio. He was part of our sixth cohort. So he has a special place in our hearts, beyond his skills and talents. You're up for a very interesting session today, inshallah. Another thing, so we do have other co-founders here with us as part of the call. We have invited our portfolio, so you might see a couple of new faces as well. So this session is made for everyone, for both our newest cohort, cohort 8, and a couple of old-time founders as part of our portfolio. With that being said, I'm handing over the floor to you, Mohammed, to take us away.
Thank you, Mariam. Let me share my screen. And let me double check. Can you see my screen? Is everything good?
Yes, all good.
Okay, excuse me, guys, because I think I will get lost knowing who's talking. So please either raise your hand because I have a lot of screens here. Or like tell me the name of you before you talk. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you, Rahaf, for inviting me for this session. I'm very excited to share my experience with you guys. I'm a fellow founder, like I think 2 years ago, like 2022, we joined the program. We are cohort 6. It was one of the, like, I think, one of the amazing programs we had in our journey. We joined multiple programs. I cannot stop saying like they helped us with a lot of things, whether with mentorship, with connection, with funding, with opportunities. So please try, if you are in the current cohort, try to maximize your benefits from Taqadam, get to know people, ask them for their support, and like benefit from everything. And I'm sure they will help you. So to cut it short, because I joined late a little bit, hopefully we finish in 2 hours. Let me start with introducing myself, like briefly, and then I will tell you more about what we are gonna talk in this session. So my name is Mohammed Elgheit. As you know, I'm a 4 times founder. I started like founding startups back in 2015, 2016. Like some of them were amazing, some of them were successful, some of them were disaster, and I learned a lot in different sectors. Actually, one in health tech, one in edu tech, and the recent one is in HR tech or B2B. And currently I manage and I founded and I have TechieMatter. TechieMatter, I can briefly explain it to you, is all things tech talent acquisition and management. We help companies in their journey to grow their tech team, whether through our suite of products, whether it's recruitment, assessment, interview by experts, EOR, like managing payroll and contracts and everything, or outstaffing, or even insights with salary. With salary insights about the talents before you hire them. We do that in a very unique approach. We are not ATS, we are not job board, we are not a recruitment agency, and we are not software house, but we believe hiring tech people, especially mid-level and above, and we're gonna talk about that, needs a different approach. So we rely on having a passive approaches, whether it's referrals, recommendations, headhunting, and so on through a distributed network. And we do these things only for tech and on our own way. And actually, I can tell you more about TechieMatter later in the session. And also, and also I share my insights, my lessons on LinkedIn with this hashtag. You can find like a lot of things that I did. It was miserable, and a lot of things that I did, I learned from it, and it was success. With entrepreneurship by experience hashtag on LinkedIn, you can follow that if you want to know more. My background is engineering, and I have more than 10 years of hands-on experience in different domains, whether it's technical or commercial. And as I told you, I'm cohort 6, and I consult tech companies and I train them in different topics. And in my free time, I do weird things like skydiving, scuba diving, and hiking. I just hiked the Kilimanjaro like 3 months ago. So if you are into that, I would love to get to know more adventurous people. Let's agree on like few things before we start. Engage. The only difference between online and offline is engagement for me. So if you have any question, feel free to ask, write it in the chat. If you have an example, if you have a use case of what I'm gonna talk about, feel free to share it. Just raise your hand and hopefully I can see your hand in the screen and I can open the mic for you. Tools are easy to find. You can ask anyone about tools, but here I'm gonna talk about the mindset and practices, which is like essential. And you can search for tools later, whether on ChatGPT or whatever. And I can share tools at the end of the session, maybe with the slides. If you have any question, the time is like getting tight, write it down. I will stay with you more after the session. And try to drink, move, eat, ask, but do not get sleepy, do not yawn, do not like feel it's not engaging for you. And also, I'm gonna offer 20% discount for all the attendees to use any of our products, any of our suite products, and I'm gonna tell you more at the end how to redeem that. And last but not least, this is my personal experience. I'm gonna share it with you. So like maybe you went through similar experiences before, like maybe you will listen to something new, maybe you have a better approach. So I'm gonna love to hear from you and just take it as personal experience. Are you ready, guys? Yeah, I can see people facing their hands and people are doing that. Okay, let's start. What we are gonna what we are gonna talk about here is I'm gonna walk you through a journey of the whole like steps from just thinking of your tech talent and retaining them and maybe giving them equity and maybe managing them. So we are gonna talk about different steps. First is employer branding. Why, what, how? What is it? What's in it for me? Why should I know more about it? And then sourcing. I'm gonna start with like the very beginning, whether you have like a CTO or not. So we're gonna talk about getting a CTO and understanding the landscape happening in the region, and also how to define your hiring needs and a lot of topics, and assessment and interviewing, whether it's technical or non-technical, and offering an onboarding, whether it's a monetary package or like you can offer something else, and what is the process, and how to manage and retain your tech talents with some tips and tricks. And I'm gonna share like with you a couple of programs in Saudi Arabia actually can benefit from to hire tech people, and they support you with financial support. And we'll have time for Q&A, whether you would love to stay or like maybe we exceeded the time. Yeah, thank you, Yusuf. See, I'm checking the chat. You can write in the chat. So let's start with the first thing, employer branding. As I mentioned, for me, like I would love to believe in the why and then understand what and how. So employer branding in a simple sentence, like to give it to you briefly, it's a practice you do like on regular basis, like on daily basis or like on regular basis to influence your company's image to people. You can do that online, you can do that in person, you can do that with like certain actions, you can do that with online tools. But at the end, it's a practice of influencing certain image, whether it's true or not. Let's be honest. I know a lot of people like on LinkedIn, they are the best companies, but in reality, they are like shut inside. I know they have very bad feedback on Glassdoor. They have very negative feedback on other like do not work here groups on Facebook and other platforms. So at the end, it's a practice of influence. This is the what, why we need to do it, why we need to think of it as a startups, because I believe branding matters more than any marketing activity. Whether you think branding is a bigger umbrella, marketing is a bigger umbrella, I'm not talking here about the differences, but here I'm talking about like having a strong brand, like it will influence you positively than just running ads for your companies and just posting like about your company on different platforms without having a structured, well established brand to position or like to give a promise for your clients or for your potential talents or even for your partners or competitors. So like you need to think of how you position your employer's brand online or offline. This is the why. And also let me give you some examples of why branding matters. Because it will help you so much with investment. Like the angel investor, the VC, maybe they will accept you because you have a good positioning or a good perception in their minds or a good branding positioning online or offline. So it will help you with investment, will help you with the FOMO, it will help you with building intros with the angel investors. And also it will definitely build a trust. So like, let's imagine if you have a certain talent you would love to headhunt, and this talent saw a lot of positive posts or like positive feedback, whether in person or online, about your company. So this will be like a magnet to attract good talents, and also it will help with retention. I know a lot of good talents and companies, they do not want to leave these companies because they have a good reputation in the market, not because they are delivering them, like they are not giving them the highest salary or like the highest package in general, but this company like has a brand. So it helps with the retention. And also, if you have a competition, this can be one of the few things that will make you stand out of the crowd. Like if you have a big competitor with established resources, but they are not doing branding right for their company or like employer branding, and they do not care about these things, actually, you as a startup with limited resources, you can be differentiated or like be different because you're doing that. And last 2 points, it will help with growth opportunities. Maybe programs like Taqadam will be affected by your brand online or offline. It helps, like let's be frank, like programs and mentorship and all of things, it will help you to have a good brand. And last, first impression lasts. So like if the first impression of your company, whether it's online through your website or mobile app, or like through seeing you in a booth or like an event, if if there is a good brand, good image, definitely it will help. So this is the first point. Like let's agree on the importance of having employer branding. Here I talked about why and what. Let's talk about like simple tips and tricks you can do it to have a good employer brand as a startup with limited resources, like in seed stage. And I call it cost efficient actions. First, social media is a very powerful tool, whatever the platform. Maybe in some countries, like Instagram or TikTok or like Snapchat, in other countries, Facebook or Twitter, in other countries, LinkedIn. But having a good social media, it really helps with the positioning in your partners, talents, investors, competitors' mindset about your company. And what I recommend here is to have a consistent blogging. You shouldn't like have this, what they call it, writer's blockage. Like I need to write a very long article. I need to write about something like very specific, very sophisticated. No, like just be consistent. Even now with LinkedIn, you can schedule your posts even with personal account. So you can like open your LinkedIn on Saturday or like Friday and plan your posts a week ahead. And this will help with positioning your brand and also being a LinkedIn top voice by answering certain questions and having feedback on it and having reactions on it. Testimonials, whether by your clients, by your employees, this help. And also highlight your product advantages and workplace advantages. Like I know a company, they like post almost bi-weekly about how their bean bags like are colorful for their team, how their stand office thing is helping their team to be productive. This helps also. So like use this to help your employer brand. Be a host. Try to host events. Try to host mentorship session. Try to host even your fellow founders in your office. If you do not have office, if you are working remotely, try to host online meetups, try to host online events, but be a host. This is one of the things that will help you with employer branding. Attend by yourself, engage and get to know people and talk about your company, and also optimize your career and team page, whether it's your website page or like LinkedIn page. This actually helps. I want you to imagine if you would love to like get employed in a company and you check their career page and you do not, like you see the last post is 3 years ago, or like maybe they not have a picture of the team, maybe they not talk about their values. This will not give a good impression about your company for talents or even for competitors or partners. And offer flexibility for your workplace. It's not only like you need to be in office from 9 to 5 and you need to work like with punch in, punch out. Was offering flexibility and letting your employees talk about your company with their fellows and with their colleagues. It will help with employer branding. And all of that will help with the why I just mentioned in the beginning, that it influence certain image for your company that will help with what we are going to talk about retaining and sourcing tech people. At this point, I finished this first, topic. Do you have any questions so far? Do you would love to talk about anything regarding employer branding? If you do not have question, you can make thumbs up, and hopefully I can see them. Or like maybe Rahaf, you can help me if they made thumbs up.
I'll help you, Muhammad. Don't worry about it. We've got your back.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions? We'll take like 5 seconds. All clear. Thank you, Safe.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think we're getting thumbs up all around. It seems all clear, and we can move on to the next topic.
Perfect. So let's go with the sourcing, step. So after you thought of your employer branding, after you built a good image, after you acted upon that and you executed a lot of actions to influence certain positive image, let's talk about sourcing. And here, I would love to start from the very beginning, getting a CTO, because I think all of us are tech-based or tech-enabled companies. So tech is a core element in our, daily operation, our product. So not having a CTO, but having another title like a tech lead or product manager or whatever, it will influence your positioning with scaling your tech team, with investment, with like next steps to grow your company. So with getting CTO, it's not an easy thing. It's very hard. It's very hard. Let's imagine like you are. I'm not sure here about how many singles in this group, but I think it's very hard to find a good like matching spouse for your life now. And if you make it wrong, you will live in a hell. Like the rest of your life. So it's hard as finding your spouse, and it can be like very tough as you chose the wrong person for the rest of your life. And there is a huge difference between having a CTO and a tech lead and product manager. Actually, this is one of the things we're going to talk about shortly. Like some of the founders, whether CEO or like in a managerial position, they don't know what they need exactly. So like maybe, okay, for example, we need a tech talent to manage the tech team, but maybe this tech talent is just like a tech lead or like maybe a project manager or maybe a business analyst is not a CTO. So like here, you need to understand the differences, and we're going to talk about the different roles later. But getting CTO, you need to understand, like you need to decide, do you really need a CTO or do you need another role? But because you don't know these roles, so you call it CTO. And to have a CTO, it's not easy, but it's a must if you the following points. Pitching to investors, your tech-based, tech-enabled company. I'm telling here out of my experience, I built like multiple companies. I secured an investment from VCs and from angels from Egypt and from outside, from Saudi Arabia and different countries. It's really, really, really crucial element if you're building a tech-based or tech-enabled company and you have a CTO. It will like change their perspective, whether like talent or investors. Like, okay, talent, I feel there is someone I can talk to, someone can coach me, someone can mentor me. I can see a career roadmap, a career growth with this, figure or like with this authority and tech in this company. So it's a must to get a CTO if you are pitching to investors, and also if you started like your company with a couple of developers or like maybe with no code and you'd love to scale. So it's a must to avoid the tech debt or accumulating the tech debt along the way. And also, if your tech team is getting bigger, you need to have a CTO to manage them for you, or like to focus on managing them. Because we're going to talk here about the lifetime of having a tech talent. Maybe like tech talents leave after 1 year, after 1 year and a half. We'll talk about that. But if your tech team is getting bigger, you need someone to focus with them to manage them technically and non-technically. And if you are building a complex technical product, whether it's Web3, deep tech, or like maybe with AI, or like not just e-store, or like not just a simple product. If you are building a technical complex product, you have a CTO. And also, if you are not that person that you can imagine or you can visualize the big scale of your product technically, from technical perspective. If you lack a technical vision, then you need a CTO. Let me check. All clear when we can overdo. Okay.
Exactly. So the question for Tariq was on in terms of the environment and branding. So when can you overdo it?
When okay, not Mukand. Okay. When can I overdo it? I think you need, okay, if you are a startup in the beginning, you need to do the basics. You need to do the main, I think it will be hard for some people, especially tech people, to talk about their company and keep blogging and have time to do that. But you need to have it in order to position your company and in order to retain talent and to source them. At some point, when you grow with your company, when you grow with the team, you will have certain roles helping you with that and doing that for you, like talent acquisition, like HR, like people and culture manager, like people with focus on having a positive culture environment. So like they will do it, but you will not stop doing it. You will keep doing it along the way because you are the figure of your company. Like a lot of talents, they just join this company because they are following the founders. They are like in love with the product, and they know is would love to know more about the culture and the vibe in this company. So you will not stop doing it, but you will doing it when you're in the beginning with simple actions. It's hard for tech people to do that and just to like take their heads down out of building their product and doing like marketing and positioning things. But you need to do it, and along the way you will hand over these actions to another person who's gonna be responsible for that. I think we have another
Question
question.
from Mukund. Yes, so he has his hand raised. So Mukund, what are your questions?
Quick question, Mohammed. You mentioned tech lead, right? So do you feel instead of a replacement of a CTO, a tech lead is also a head of engineering? So when you got the head of engineering focused on your engineering and a product manager that effectively can bootstrap you until you need a full-time CTO.
Very good question, Makan. Thank you for asking that. For me, like from what I have seen with a lot of tech companies, because I give consultation to them, actually in the beginning, they don't need CTO. They mostly need a product manager. And why is that? Because the founder, like coming from a commercial or operational background, and they are trying to build a product, but they lack the empathy side with the client, or like the empathy side with the user. So like they need a product manager. If they have the product management mindset, or like if they like a lot of practices like design thinking and user testing and usability and all of that, then at this point they maybe do not need a CTO due to a lot of reasons. Maybe they do not have all the tech team to have a CTO manage them. They do not have the budget. They do not they are not sure about their tech stack. They are not sure about the next step. They are just trying to validate their MVP. So at this time, maybe they will start with a couple of developers, and to manage them, they will have a tech lead with a roadmap to be a CTO, like promoted along the way. There are few cases who can like have a CTO in the very beginning, as I mentioned, if it's like a complex product, if it's the CTO like is gonna manage a team, if the CTO like maybe do not have other offers from big companies, so they will not be headhunted easily after like starting 1 year with the company and all of that. But it depends on the company stage, on the industry, on the startup itself. But from what I have seen, I could say like 70% of companies, you do not need a CTO in the beginning. They need someone to manage maybe a software house dealing with, or a tech team, or like maybe they need someone with product background or product knowledge. I'm not sure if I answered your question, Kenneth, or not.
No, you did. And I think you mentioned something important was design thinking, the playbook and the toolbox, right? That's really helped us in our journey to really understand that perspective without going into the technical details for the non-tech person. So thank you.
Thank you.
We have another question from Saif.
Yeah, last question from Saif, so we can continue.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to share my opinion, if you would allow me. I'm the kind who doesn't like to give the technical people a lot of authority. So a CTO at the very beginning will be a pain in the butt, to be honest. I am a fan of having a CPO, Chief Product Officer, but it's very important that he has semi-technical expertise. So at some point he came from a technical background or something like that, or went very deep technically, but he's all about the product itself and about providing value to the businesses. Usually and maybe this is something that you can advise on, Mohammed, but with CTOs, especially who are purely technical, they kind of get distracted from the aim of a startup, and it becomes just like, let's program, let's do a sprint, let's do whatever, and this is the feature and backlog, etc., etc., etc. So that's why I see that the CPO role is more effective, since he's always in keeping in mind the value that the product will provide once it's ready.
Yes. Actually, that's why. Thank you, Steve, for the contribution. That's why I mentioned it depends, because it depends on the product. It depends if you really need a CTO. If maybe you're lucky enough to have a CTO with product knowledge, because sometimes, like when you call someone a CTO, this means they had to be a customer-facing people, not just technical people. So, like being a customer-facing, so you need to understand how to deal with them. Like you need to see how the product can go like with a scalable technology or like with a scalable infrastructure. I'm sorry, Hussein, like I can take your question after I finish this slide because we have a lot, but please write it down so we not forget it, and I will come back to you in a bit. So we talked about the CTO, why having a CTO is a must and why it's not. And also we talked about the importance of CTO. So where to find the CTO, like a very critical, crucial like element in your company. You need to check your first level network. You need to check your friends. You need to check the people you studied with. You need to check people like in different programs, but you need to see first the people you know personally. Because as I mentioned, it's like looking for your partner. It's like looking for your spouse. So if you do not manage to like find a right matching partner, you will like have a very, I would call it, destructive relationship. So you need to first check your network, trusted referrals. So for example, Hussein is my friend and Hussein is very well connected with the tech community. I will ask him, Hussein, can you please recommend someone with technical knowledge in this technology, or like with T-shape, very focused in certain domain, but has different backgrounds in other domains. And actually, one of the techniques that I found is very helpful is look for startup founders, people who weren't lucky enough to like continue with their startups, or like maybe they are okay with merging, their teams. So like this is one of the things that you can use to find to get a CTO. And check the tech communities, whether it's open source communities like Facebook community, X community, Slack channels, meetups, events. This all helps with connecting with the right people. And actually, you can use TechieMatter to hire a CTO for you. But we did that actually for a lot of our clients, whether in Saudi Arabia or like in different countries. We helped them with defining the right role, and once we both clear on the right naming and the right job description, we hired the CTO for them. And when you get a CTO, you need to look for the following. I know, like maybe we have some CTOs in the chat in the session, and I see Mukand. I think he's saying he's a CTO, but you need to look for like if you both, like the CEO, the CTO, or like the co-founders, if you have matching values, because this will be a deal breaker for you if you do not both and like have a common ground for your values. Like when we say like this should be you should respect me in that, we should listen to each other in that, this should be okay for us, this is not okay for us, I can do that, I cannot do that. You need to understand each other very well and to have like a matching values. And also keep an eye on a communication leadership traits in a CTO. This is mainly like 100% of their jobs, not technical, not coding by their own hands. Maybe they will code in some occasions, but look for communication and leadership. And also, it's a plus to have someone with a startup experience and familiar with the startup, ups and downs. Like today, you will be like we'll have a promise from your client to pay you, and you have a promise from your investor to invest in you. Tomorrow, like you will be broke, and how we are gonna survive with this company. And startup expectations, if they are not familiar with the startup, so what is their expectations about the startup? And also technical capabilities. And I meant to keep it the fourth option, or like the fourth thing, because it's not as important as have someone with matching values, their leadership skills, and also with a startup experience. We talked about getting a CTO. Let's share some info about the tech talent landscape in the region. I think I can share with you some insights from TechieMatter. I told the team to share them with me, so I think I can share them with you now. Here is like another fact maybe you're not aware of, but the whole globe is powered by certain regions when it comes to tech talents. Let me name some few countries for you. Egypt, Jordan, India, Pakistan, Eastern Europe, you can name it, Ukraine, Poland, Belarus, I think. Also Latin America, Latvia, Serbia, like some few developers in Yemen and in Syria, Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, and also Nigeria. These are like what I listed or what I mentioned. There's like the powerhouse for tech companies all over the world. And I meant to mention these names or like these regions because actually we hire from them for our clients globally, and because they offer good developers and designers. Here, when I mention tech talents, I refer to product managers, designers, AI analysts, like any ICT role, even hardware, cybersecurity, and so on. So like these countries and these regions, they offer good talents. So you are not limited to certain country, you are not limited to certain region, but you need to think of a lot of factors when you are gonna hire overseas, or like when you're gonna hire remote. Like what? Let me mention, let me list them for you, but also I want to emphasize that currently, as we speak, almost 2025, it's a tech talent warfare. There is a huge demand for tech talents in these regions globally, but the supply is a good quality, like is in shortage. So there is a warfare between companies, even big companies, even with a layoff happening in US currently, there is still a shortage in good supply. But the demand, like I want you to get back maybe like 10 years ago, there was maybe like not a lot of, I would call it developers for blockchain, and like maybe 7 years ago, not a lot of developers and maybe people working in Web3, and like now we are in desperate need for AI engineers and for like machine learning and for deep learning and these domains more than ever. So like the demand is progressing, but there is a shortage in supply, especially quality supply. And in the region, in MENA region, we noticed almost 15% salary increase in the last 3 years, even with companies with very competitive, salaries like Egypt, like even in Africa. We noticed a salary increase, maybe due to the high demand from the West, maybe due to the high demand from companies with big budgets. But there is increase we noticed in the tech talent landscape. And also we noticed like the full-time mode is not the dominant like before. I know a lot of companies, maybe some of you in the call, like they now rely on freelancers or part-timers, like maybe the whole tech team is part-timers, or like maybe they are dealing with software houses. But now, due to the cost and due to the increase and due to the shortage in supply and due to the headache of building a good tech product, people, they started, explore different models with, part-time, freelance or outstaffing, or like outshore, maybe a company based in UAE or KSA with tech house in Egypt, or like India, or like Jordan. And also, yeah, when they start to look for tech talent, this is what I was referring to a few minutes ago. When you start when you start looking for tech talents in different regions, these are the factors you need to look for. The time zone, what is the difference between your time and their time? The cost, and it differs, like maybe in certain countries it's cheaper than other countries, however they are good. The language barrier. I know a lot of people in Africa, they only speak French, So like they cannot deal with people speaking Arab comfortably, like maybe they will have struggle. And with the technical quality and culture, do they understand the culture of our product and as a market we are operating in, and also previous project and references. So this is a glimpse of the tech talent landscape. Before, like if you are looking for a CTO in the beginning, and this is part of the sourcing, we're gonna talk about like 3 or 4 points within the sourcing spectrum. And some of the things that we noticed in TechieMatter in the last, I would say, 3 years, let me share it with you because just came late to me. Like the most needed roles currently is full stack developers, tech leads, DevOps, product managers, data scientists, and quality engineers. These roles are the most, needed roles currently from different companies. We hire for companies in 14 countries, majority in MENA, but we have clients in US and in Europe as well. And most of them, they prefer the work setup hybrid. They prefer hybrid, but the talent prefer remote. So like you need to, have a balance between what you need and what the talent ask for. And the most needed roles is senior and above. Like there is no problem with juniors, maybe with the boot camps, with programs. There is no problem with juniors, but it's very needed with mid-level and senior and above. And also maybe the common technologies, Node.js and React.js and other like back-end and front-end technology. These are some insights about the tech talent landscape in the region. When it comes to your hiring needs as company, after like you have a CTO, like maybe you have a tech person in your company, and now you understand how it looks in the region about salaries and about technologies and all of that. When it comes to defining your hiring needs, most companies, they face problem with they don't know what they need. I'm sorry, they don't know what they need exactly. So one of the things that I mentioned, like different roles and different titles. Do we need a CTO? Do we need a product manager? Do we need a senior full stack developer? Like they have that mindset where we can split it into mid-level, one back end and one front end. So one of the things that we noticed, if you cannot clearly define your hiring needs, most probably you will not ship the right results. You will not deliver the right results. So you think you need like this title, but in reality, you need other titles. So like maybe you'll get a different result. To help you to define your hiring needs clearly, one of the strategies we offer our clients, and I offer it in my consultation, is you can easily start from the bottom up. So for example, just start writing what exactly you're expecting from the talent to do in daily basis, or like maybe on weekly basis, and take these actions or take these like requirements and think of, okay, I need them to develop 1, 2, 3. I need them to talk to the team. I need them to maybe test it. And then from the bottom up, think of how can I categorize it? Is this all back end? Is this all full stack? Is this all front end? Is this all quality? Is this all analysis? Is this all data analyst or BI or whatever? And after categorizing it, we can think of a title, because now companies, they maybe have same titles but different job descriptions due to like the culture of the tech leadership, or like maybe due to the let's be cool, so like we need a ninja developer to join our company. You don't know what ninja developer what will do, like is ninja developer is a back end, the front end, or what. So one of the things that can help you with defining your hiring needs is start from the bottom up to clarify the role. And trust me when I tell you, job description is still matters till now, for both of you, for the talent and for the company. Do not just write a high level, like we need a talent to do 1, 2, 3, and that's it. You really need to communicate your expectations. You really need to communicate the targets. If there is certain targets, you need to communicate what you think of this role when these talents, when they join your company. So like it still matters. And job description is not only about what they do, it's about the qualifications. It's about if you have certain filtration criteria. And actually at TechieMatter, we help our clients writing their JD, and do not only rely on ChatGPT or any AI solution, because we receive a lot of weird JDs that has nothing to do with the title, because it's not relevant to your company. It's not customized to your needs. It's just a template, and it's very easy to just Google it. I need a data scientist JD, but you really need all of these, requirements, all of these points. So you can start it from the bottom up. You can get assistance from like your friends or like maybe people who hired this role before, or you can come to TechieMatter and we can help you. And check what's out there. Actually, this is one of the techniques we found it's helpful. You can check other companies, roles and their JDs. You can go to any job board. I don't want to name any of them, but you can go to any job board and check your competitors, for example, if they are hiring data scientists like you, what they are expecting from the data scientist to do. And this can be like an evaluation to the first hack, which is start from the bottom up. And think also of your business needs. What is the core element in your company? What are the things that you can outsource it, whether it's part-time or freelance? Think of the core, think of the things that you need it on daily basis. Think of the things that if the website crashes today, or like if the app crashes today, you really need this person to help you with that. And assess what you have. One of the things that people, they find out after, thinking of their hiring plan, we need to hire 3 developers, 2 designers, and 2 engineers, and 2 quality people, that they do not, did an exercise to assess what they have. Okay, we have a couple of talents, we have a couple of developers, or like maybe they can do like some manual testing, they are not into automation. So like, do we really need another manual tester, or like we can see what we can do and what we have, so we can capitalize on it. And last point here, to define your hiring needs, is to think of the roadmap, whether it's a product roadmap or your hiring roadmap. I know when you have money in the bank, when you secure investment, you think, okay, I'm gonna hire 3 developers by Q4 2024, and in this product roadmap we are gonna achieve these milestones. So you need to think of the roadmap, your needs, with the budget, and start from bottom up, and check what you have, and maybe you compare it with what your competitors or like similar companies, post on job boards or on different platforms about their needs, and think of what is the core element in your company to hire, not just to hire any role. Like you can sometimes deal with outsourcing company to do that for you, but like you can have part-time people joining your company. This is the last point, and also I'll have after this point for sourcing, I'll have your questions. So if you have any question, feel free to write it down in the chat. Or like if you'd love to contribute, like we had with Saif, I think, a few minutes ago. So we talked here about getting a CTO. We talked about defining your hiring needs. We also talked about like, having, sourcing for your company. Here about the outreach and sourcing, like I'm talking about what you can do with a very cost efficient, actions, or like maybe you will not be able, like there is no need to pay for these steps. First, because there's a mistake all of founders like make, they do not structure their hiring process. I mean here, like they do not at least write it down on Google Doc or like on their Excel sheet or whatever. What is the hiring process? First, maybe there will be a technical call or like technical interview or maybe technical test, up to you. Second, we'll have HR call or like psychometric assessment or like another step to evaluate the candidate's personality. And third, maybe the CEO at the end. So like you need to structure your hiring process. So when you communicate it with the talent, you will manage both expectations about the next steps. Because one of the misleading, like one of the myths in the market about hiring, you think talent is not serious enough about the opportunity, but in reality, like we saw a lot of cases, the talent is serious, but the company is very slow to take an action, like to move into their, interviewing decision-making process. So the talent will be headhunted by another company, and you are desperate to hire, to secure a matching talent. So in reality, it's not only about the talent side, it's about the company, because they have no structure about their hiring process. They will take a lot of time, about the steps, and they are lost, and we don't know what is the next step, and if we did the first step with this talent or not. One of the things that you need to like understand when you are hiring mid-level and above, job boards are dead. they will never help you with like senior and CTO and tech lead. You will be very lucky to find good people there. And why is that? And actually, this is one of the reasons we started TechieMatter. We are not job board. And why is that? Because job boards rely on what we call it active hiring, not passive hiring. What is the difference here? Active hiring is people who are actively looking for a new opportunity, who maybe like they have their resume or CV very well written, very ready, and well designed, and they have time to do that. When it comes to tech talents, mid-level and above, they do not get hired by that. They either headhunted by talent acquisition people or like people they know within their communities. They do not care about their profile is up to date or not. I'm not gonna list all of that. Maybe GitHub account, I will have my project listed, or like maybe Behance if I'm a designer, but I will not fill a job board account the way maybe I'm filling GitHub or Behance, or like maybe my portfolio or maybe my LinkedIn. Let me give you an example. We hired a talent for one of the biggest podcasts in the region. It's a Saudi podcast. We hired the talent for them. The talent has been working there like for a year and a half. The talent profile on LinkedIn on CV when we sorted this talent is still like the last update was 2021, and we have hired this talent like for a year and a half. So they didn't even update their profile. So if you are looking for a mid-level and above, job boards are not your destination. And mostly you're gonna hire this talent passively, like passive ways, as I told you. And you can check for the closed communities and referrals. Closed communities here, like maybe Slack channel for developers, maybe WhatsApp, maybe X space, maybe people meeting up in person from time to time. This will help you to find a lot of mid-level developers, so you can funnel them to the right one. And referrals, it helps, like it works like a magic. And actually, one of the channels we use at TechieMatter is referrals to hire for our companies. So there's one of the things that we are, that's why we are specialized in mid-level and above. We use at TechieMatter. For juniors, you can use LinkedIn, you can use job boards, you can check boot camps, you can check job fairs, whether it's online or offline, you can check hackathons. So for your sourcing channels for juniors, you have a lot of options, but for mid-level and above, it gets tougher and harder, especially if you are looking for matching talent. And once you structure your hiring process and you build your JD, as we like discussed a few minutes ago, and you know the channels for mid-level and juniors for developers, build a pipeline. And a pipeline here doesn't mean only building like a database. No, at least build a connection and build a good relationship with talents. So you can build a pipeline through your network. Let's take LinkedIn, for example. You can, like when you post on LinkedIn, we are in need for that, and maybe you hire this talent. So if you are interested to join this role, just fill this form, or like text me, or like maybe comment below, and my team will contact you. So here you are building a halo, you are building a pipeline, you are building a pipeline out of your network. You can use multiple channels when you are building a pipeline, not only job boards. As I told you, like there is different channels for it. And try to build a relationship, even if you are not gonna hire this talent and you see like this talent is a perfect fit, but maybe the budget is way over your capabilities and the company's budget. Like, okay, thank you them, tell them like, okay, not just overqualified and not just leave them, you are good, but maybe not with this stage of our roadmap. We'll contact you later, but let's keep in touch, and maybe we can add you on LinkedIn. Maybe I can have your contact. And one of the things that I would love to connect with what I discussed in the very beginning with employer branding is building a pipeline is very connected to having a very good employer branding. If you keep, maintaining, having a positive employer branding on different channels, this will help you very much with having a pipeline. Once you post, if there is a vacancy, if you have a good employer branding, you'll have a lot of talents applying to the job opportunity. And the last thing that I recently encountered, like 1 month ago, that it was a total like disaster for the HR team in a very big software company, is they relied blindly on ATS. ATS, for you who do not know what's ATS, it's applicant tracking system. It's a system where you can integrate different channels on one platform, and you receive different candidates, and you maybe can manage these talents. And let me show you what happened. This happened 1 month ago on Reddit. If you check Reddit regularly. This is an HR manager. Sorry, it wasn't HR manager. It was software like development manager. It was a tech manager in a company, in a very big software company in US. And he noticed that the HR team is not, delivering like good matching talents for his need with Angular developers. And like after months and after a lot of trials, he was like wondering, why is this happening? So he decided to, do what they call mystery shopping, or like to act like a different talent. And he created a resume, a very matching resume, a very good resume. He's a dev manager. Okay, so like he knows what he's doing. So he built a very strong technical matching resume, and he changed the email and name and phone number and applied on the ATS of the company. And at the same time, like as you can see, like maybe few seconds left or something, a few seconds difference, he received a response from the ATS that your profile is not matching. So he wrote that, as you can see, auto rejection systems from HR make me angry. I'm a tech lead for 3 months. HR wasn't able to find a single person for the position, blah, blah, blah. And the problem was they didn't understand, like maybe the system like took the same keyword, but not the same technology. So for example, I cannot recall the same the technology he was referring to, but for example, the difference between Angular and like maybe React and React.js, or React Native and React.js. People with technical background will understand me, like something with front end and with mobile. So the system was only rejecting people with React, not React.js, and they wanted the React.js. And the ATS kept rejecting a lot of matching profiles because of that, because there was no monitoring. They relied blindly on it. They didn't check the database. So one advice is, do not rely 100% on the tools in general. That's why I prefer to tell you, like, be data informed, not data driven. Like to have your gut, to have your instinct, like to see why this is happening. Is this normal or not? And this was for the sourcing in general. We talked about outreach, we talked about JD, we talked about getting a CTO, and we talked about some insights to build employer branding. Do you have any questions so far about what we discussed? Thumbs up if you don't have any question, or like maybe write. Thank you, Abdullah. أنا مش شايف غير عبد الله. Thank you, Abdullah. Okay. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. Next step, after we built a good, positioning for our company, and we managed to build a pipeline, and we sourced, and we hired our CTO, and we understood our JD, and we wrote down the role title. Here comes the second step, which is assessment and interviewing. We want to assess and interview tech people. So what should we do? And what are the common, mistakes for this step? One of the challenges employers like have, that they only think about the recruitment process in general, especially for tech talents, from their perspective, not from the talent's perspective. So we receive like requests on our platform for companies. Okay, I need 1, 2, 3 in the candidate with 4, 5, 6 filtration criteria, and they need to go through like 5 steps, filtration process, and after that maybe we reject them. And they are, they keep insisting on this, process, on the whole thing, but they do not think, they do not emphasize, they do not see the hiring process from the talent perspective. One of the things that we noticed, that in the assessment step, employers, they prefer, okay, let's have a test, maybe 1.5 hours, let's do code challenge, let's have like 5 steps interviewing process. And it becomes very painful for talents that maybe they will drop out, they will not continue, although maybe they are very good and they are very fit for the requirements, but they will not continue with you in the process. And you think because they are not serious enough, they are not, matching our needs, but in reality, they are good, but you made it very painful for them. And also on the other side, I don't mean to make it very misleading for you, not just like to have a call with the talent, and because you like the talent, you will hire them. No, You need to balance. Here are some, tips for the assessment and interviewing steps. It's better to have it multi-step and to have different, objectives behind these steps. So it's not in order, it's up to you. But what we saw and what we noticed and what we recommend is to have a technical step where you assess technical capabilities of the talent, whether through test or through interview or like through a code challenge or like go to home test or like do it in your home test. And HR here, I mean, it's like gives you more insights about the talent personality and how they think and psychometric approach. And the last one is having like a culture fit or a CEO test, a CEO interview, where maybe you can discuss with them their vision for the next step, their plan. You see like things that maybe the HR person didn't see it. And this takes us to the third point that I truly love, and people do not do it. However, it's very easily, which is try to involve different team members in the interviewing process. Even if you are like a startup of 3 persons, try to have another person perspective on the talent, so we can discuss, so we can have different insights. Sometimes, okay, founders, I would love to interview this talent alone. I'm gonna be his direct manager. I'm gonna this talent. So I will do, and also I'm a tech, I have tech background, so I'm gonna do the technical and culture fit. Try to involve team members so they can give you different perspective and different insights. And this will help you with one, taking notes, and one is interviewing the talent. And what's like common, what's acceptable is if you have a test, give it like maximum 1 hour, do not exceed that limit. And actually, this is what we do in TechieMatter. As I told you, we have a product for assessment, whether it's technical or psychometric. We give it like 1 hour tops, even if the employer wants to know more info about the talent, we design it as 1 hour tops. And be data informed, not only data driven, because one of the things that mislead people, okay, data is great, data will save you time, data will give you a good overview, but try to look, for the details. If there is something that you are not comfortable with, just go step behind the data, just question it, just trust your gut, especially for the interviewing step. So like, think of why this data is in that look, in that shape, not just take it and move with it. And use psychometric. And this is one of the things that people do not, think it's beneficial for the company to rely on when it comes to having a decision making. Because psychometric will help you understand more about the leadership, whatever the model. It can be desk, it can be MBTI, it can be Big Five. Like there are multiple models, but it will help you with with leadership, with communication, with aptitudes, with cognitive, with if there is situational analysis approach. This will help you. And there is a model also that I truly recommend. You can Google it and you can apply it in your next interviewing process, whether with technical or non-technical roles. It's called the STAR model. STAR is abbreviation for situation, task, action, result. So think of that when you interview any tech talent or like talent in general. Think, okay, tell me more about a situation where you like helped the company, although you had like a very few team members and there was like a problem with the production, like you were just deploying and there was a problem with that. Help me with that. So this is a situation. And you ask them and they tell you about certain tasks and their action and what was the result and what was the feedback and who they solved this problem with and what did they do and what was their proactive action regarding this. So always like inject STAR model in your interviewing process and think of it like that. It's situation, task, action, and result or return out of this. And one of the things that also will help you to understand if this talent fit for your company or not is you can ask them in the like whether it's question or like maybe in the interview about their past projects and like how their past projects are connected to what you are having right now in your company, to your product. And you can introduce that through like maybe code a challenge similar to what you have in your company, or like maybe you have certain tests for that. And actually we help with that in TechieMatter. So like we design the challenge based on the current, use case you have in your company. There's one of the things that will help you if you apply these, simple tips and tricks, will help you to interview candidates just because you have it, written on paper, or like you have it on your like laptop or like in your desktop. You will have answers to this, and you will ensure a very good pipeline of matching talents, continuing the process with you, not just dropping in the middle. And last but not least, appreciate giving feedback to the talents. I'm not telling you give feedback to all the talents who applied, just give feedback to the talents like who made it to the last step, which in best cases will be like 5, 4. And give them time in the interview to ask you. So like they will have confidence. So like they will not be under, spot, they will not be under pressure. And when you give a feedback and let them ask you, this will help with the first point we discussed, which is employer branding. You will give them a good impression about, okay, it's understanding environment. It's not only upper hand interviewing someone who's joining, their company, but like it's a matching process. And at this point, we like discussed everything with the interviewing and assessment for tech talents. I would love to have, if you have questions from you guys, if you have questions, like if you'd love to contribute with your experience interviewing and assessing. Abdullah, yes, please go ahead.
I just have a question. Are you gonna go over like how to assess a certain budget or what to offer, especially for like tech leads or CTOs? So they're gonna be technically probably one of the things that would excite them to join is equity. How much equity is usually a good percentage to offer? What are like the good salary ranges that are for a good tech talent, or what, especially in the market right now?
Okay, actually, this is the next slide. After you assess an interview, offer
Ah.
them. That's why I told you I'm gonna take you in a journey, building an employer brand, source, assess, interview, offer, and then retain. So this will be the next slide.
All right, then I'll wait. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Any other contribution? Do you have any like? Yes, Aidana, perfect. Actually, Telegram. Okay. Okay, Hamza, give me a minute. Aidana said like something very important. As I told you, closed communities. I mentioned like example about WhatsApp, X, Slack. She mentioned a very good actually example, Telegram. Telegram, yeah, they have very good talents. Like there are like certain groups for tech people and non-tech people on Telegram, and actually Serbia and Belarus. Yeah, it's one of the countries I mentioned that you can source tech talents from. Thank you, Aidana, for your contribution. Awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, for the great, let's say, information that you have shared with us. Let me share with you one of the main challenges that we are facing once we started hiring the right people to the right place. So we did some due diligence, we did some, let's say, assessment, and we did some kind of behavior assessment, technical assessment, all of this stuff. But actually, once they get into the ground and they interface into the battlefield, we observed totally different attitude, which is something that you cannot discover when you do pre-assessment before onboarding those maybe offshore team that are not under your supervision directly. So how can we solve this issue? We did with, let's say, timesheet to make sure the optimization elevated to the next level, but still there is up and down. Sometimes they are doing very good, sometimes not, which is normally for the human, right? But how can we maintain this? Because we don't want to hire, or we don't want to be overhire for the sake of economic scale, and we don't want to shorten into hiring, then we will be overwhelming and, let's say, kind of pushing the team. So how, from your experience, how can we make sure that we are optimizing the team right after we did all the, let's say, prerequisite and due diligence and picking the right people into the squad? This is my concern that I'm facing right now. I'm trying to do the best to solve it, but definitely I will be more than happy to hear from your experience, Mohammed. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's a very, very good question, actually, that a lot of companies face, not only your company, and especially when they deal with, sorry, when they deal with talent, overseas, or like even in person in their companies, and they have this what they call like time tracker. Okay, you worked on this task, like it took like 2 hours, and this task took 1 hour. So let's pay you number of hours you consumed or you took to get this result done. But I see it from a different perspective. So let me share with you my input, and I would love to have your feedback on that. So first, when you are gonna hire a tech team in-house or remote, if you're gonna hire a tech team in-house, you need to understand, like you need to have, I'm not gonna say previous experience, but you need to understand how to manage tech team first, and then how to manage tech team remote, and then how to manage tech team with deliverables. So for example, if I'm not a tech person and I do not understand if this task maybe will take like 2 hours or 1 hour, or like even if I'm a tech person, but I do not understand the dynamics and the environment and the leadership and the OKR, objective key results, or like certain roadmap, or how to use Jira, or how to use certain milestones, or how to conduct sprints and all of that, then I have a challenge to manage tech team. Okay, if I solve this challenge, but I'm dealing with tech team remote, then how I'm gonna deal with them? Is it kind of results-based agreement? So, okay, guys, I'm telling you, I just want 1, 2, 3, like mobile app working fine with Android, iOS, and have this features and these pages and slides and all of that. So is it something like that, or like it's a long-term contract with I just need what they call outstaffing or squad as a service? So I just need 3 talents, and I'm gonna pay them for their contribution hours. At this point, you need to, after you assess, I'm gonna talk about the steps to assess the talents, but after you hire them, you need to have what they call like test period. Because at the end, maybe you will be a very good employer, there will be a very good talent, but both of you, like guys, like you are not, you cannot get in a good agreement together. Like their way of delivering things is different than your way of management. Your way of management is different than them. So like you need to test. That's why you need to benefit from the probation period, where first, initially, before you hire them, you need to have like a paper or like written on your desktop 3 things. What is this talent good at? Like what they are good at? Like okay, they are good, and if I were you, I would know this info through interviews or assessment, or like their profile, or like talking about their past projects, or like different assessment models. So look, what they are good at. Okay, they are good at delivering under pressure. They are good at dealing with different cultures. Because one of the things, we hired a developer for a company based in US, and this company, they were celebrating the month of LGBT, like this event, or like this celebration. And this talent wasn't a fit culture for them. He didn't want to celebrate that, and he wasn't okay with that. Like he left them. So one of the things that you need to know is what are the strengths of this candidate. Second thing, and like you need to test them, you need to ask them. And second thing, what are the things that they can be coachable with? Okay, maybe you are not good at managing your time, maybe you are not good with communication, but I think you are a good listener. I think you are a person with maybe not extensive, like deep background or like deep knowledge, but maybe with seniority level comes up or goes up, you will learn how to lead people. So like this is something you can coach them. And the first thing, this is something they are good at. The third thing, what is the red line? What is the red flag for you? If the talent, before you hire them, they have like red flags, and they have a lot of things in the first 2 points I mentioned, do not hire them. But if they have a very few red flags, then you need, in the first probation period, whether it's supported by the hiring arm, like what we do in TechieMatter, we provide the replacement free in the first 45 days for our clients. So like we tell them, test and assess all the 3 categories I just talked now about it in the first like 30 days. So you need to put them in a situation, because at the end, as I told you, hiring tech team or like having a CTO is like looking for your spouse. If you do not have enough time to see if you are a good fit or not, you will have like a hell of a life later. So answering your question, after doing all the assessment in the beginning, you need to understand before hiring the talent the three things I mentioned. What are the restraints points? What are the things that I can coach them on? And what are the red flags? Okay, like this is not acceptable for me. If you do it again, this is the red flag. I'll not work with you. And after you hire them, you need to have a test period where you both test each other. And at the end, you need to understand the fact. Actually, I have this slide in like next slides. You need to understand the fact that is hiring team, whether it's technical or not technical, it has a reality that it will never be 100%, you know, perfect. It will never be 100% accurate. And give yourself time to learn, because by time, the amount of knowledge and experience you accumulated from the first 2 hires is totally different after you hire like 10 hires. So give yourself time and accept it and embrace it.
Mohammed, just if you allow me to compliment in what you have said, I don't want to hijack the team time, but just a quick comments here. Actually, some of them, they are almost hired for 1 year. So the degradation started maybe at the last quarter. So usually I sit with every person on my team as a one-on-one meeting to understand their challenges, what the motivation, all this stuff. But still, even we actually talking about the ESOP, how can we distribute this for the sake of engaging the great team. But what I'm facing right now, it is kind of lack of morale, lack of ownership after one year of joining. Is it kind because there is a pressure for the startup, or there's something else? You know, the offshore team, you can't manage this. Maybe somebody are working 5 employers at the same time, which is something that challenging.
Let me ask you a question, because actually I mentioned this about like the other side. If they are like, if the employers are aware of managing tech teams and managing tech teams remotely, do you think they got demotivated, or like they got, you know, to produce less than before because of all the reasons, because of them, or like maybe there are 2 sides in the equation?
And I think maybe the second one. I think I can see yes, because
Exactly.
the motivation, it comes up and down, which is normal, right? But if it starts steep degradation over, let's say, a certain period of time, that means something happened. Right?
Yes, actually, at this point, okay, this is perfect that we both agreed that it can be like the second option, which is both sides, you know, have accountability for this, not only one side. So let's all agree that let's do the actions from the second side first, which is the upper hand, about like firing and hiring them, motivating them, giving them incentives, inspiring them, leading them. And we can also check about the first side, as I told you. Are they the right fit? Did you test them? So if you are telling me in the first year they were perfect, but now they started, you know, to like not perform well like before, I think, I'm not sure about the whole case. Maybe we can talk about it later, like over phone call, or like maybe we can meet in person. I think there is a challenge with the other side of how to retain them, how to motivate them, how to manage them. Because maybe they come up with a fresh mind, but after they did repeated work, after maybe they started not to learn much, doing like, I'm sorry to say it, but donkey work, like a repeated work with no stimulation for their mind, they started to demotivate, which is at some point, it's true for all companies to have this. Like, you need to keep motivating your team. That's why it's very hard to be a CEO. It's very hard to build a team. It's not an easy job. Like, you guys, you should really, really be proud of yourself. Just, you know, standing out of the crowd, building a company, managing a team in a very like environment with a lot of challenges, and you have responsibility to motivate them, retain them, and scale them. So it's not easy at the end of the day.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Please don't tell anyone here in the room. So I might be updating my CV to apply for another job.
Okay. No, not tell anyone.
I second your opinion. Thank you very much, Mohammed.
Thank you, awesome. Okay, we can have like one last contribution or question. If you have any question, guys, in the chat, or raise your hand. Okay.
It seems they're good to go, Muhammad.
Okay, I think we are good.
Can I just say one last thing? And
Yes.
Go ahead,
about hiring in general. So I live by this rule. If your first hire is an asshole, you'll end up with a company full of assholes. So be very careful about hiring the wrong people with the wrong culture. And that's it. Sorry for the French, by the way.
Assholes you have in your company. Okay, thank you, Saif. I think Abdullah was talking about the next step, about the ESOP. And here Abdullah, we're talking about. So after you build, like after you are building, because it's not one-time thing, it's a continuous thing. After you are building a good, employer brand with activities we discussed, and you thought of, the first step of whether you need a CTO or not for your tech team. I'm talking here about all technical roles. And also you started to build a pipeline and understand the JD and build a good, job description and source talents and also assess and interview them. Now you reach to a point that you have like a couple of talents, you'd love to offer them an offer, like you'd love to onboard them in your company. So here comes the offering step. Here is another fact, another truth that maybe it's untold, maybe it makes you, feel unstable, it makes you feel left behind, it makes you feel your company is doing nothing, but you will never ever win the salary race. Whatever your company size, whatever you are offering in dollars, in reals, in pounds, whatever, you will never ever win the salary race. You will have always another company in another, continent, in another country offering a better salary than yours. So I meant to mention this in the very beginning to make you feel like it's not only about the salary. And you need to do a lot of things to maintain the talent other than just offering them salary. Salary is crucial. I'm not saying salary is nothing. Like at the end of the day, we eat and drink and go out and travel with our salaries. We do not just travel with, thank you, you are doing a good job, but it's not the only things that you can compete with in the talent offering and retention race. So first, before you offer an offer, you need to gather data. How and where. Think of asking the talent about their expected salary and current, if possible. Some candidates, they offer the current salaries. Actually, in TechieMatter, we ask the talents before we send them to our clients about the current salaries. And some of them, they tell you, okay, I'm sorry, we cannot disclose it because we signed NDA with our, they come up with reasons, but ask about the current and expected salary, and you can put this in the in your form of sourcing, or like in your question before having the last interview to offer them. And second thing, while gathering your data, research the market rates. And let me tell you another fact. Glassdoor and other like similar platforms, they do not give you the accurate market rates, and you shouldn't rely on them. Why? Because we're in the market. We do that actually. We have a service to our clients to research market rates for them. Why? Because all of the data on Glassdoor or similar product are written by like whether companies or like talents, their expectations, or companies based on their offers on the job boards. So let's take, for example, I'm a company X posted on any job board, regional or local or global, that I'm looking for a full stack developer with $2,000. So as Glassdoor, I can, take all of the data for similar role and give you something. And also I can take feedback from talents working in this company. Does that mean that these rates are updated, accurate, or represent that the final deal between the talent and the company? Not. So you need to research market rates. How? You can actually ask your fellow entrepreneurs how much you are paying for this talent, and they can give you. You can assign a company to do such research for you, while like they tell you their research mechanism and how they do it, and what are their sources of data and everything. But you need to research market rates currently, whether with maybe current team you have the rates is XYZ, or like ask your people, or having a company, or like using multiple sources and not only rely on Glassdoor. ask fellow entrepreneurs, as I mentioned. And after doing that, after you gather the data, so let's take, for example, full stack developer, you are paying him $3,000. You need to think of two things. What is the pay scale in your company? Okay, so this talent will come as senior full stack developer, for example, and they will take like $3,000. Do you have currently another senior position like this taking the same amount, or like maybe less or maybe more? So when you promote them in the near future, you will have a clear picture of how much you are going to pay both of them. So for whatever incident, if the current role is taking less, if the current candidate is taking less and the new candidate is taking more, so what if they will be promoted? What if they share their salaries together with each other? So you need to think of that. And the other thing, after you gather the data and you have a clear picture, is to think of a career growth roadmap for the talent. It's not only about hiring a talent and giving them salary. This is what I'm talking about when I say employers think of hiring and retaining from their end, not with like empathizing from the talent end. So after you empathize with talent, you need to understand how I'm gonna grow in this company. Is there a roadmap? Is there a structure? Is there a hierarchy? Is there like a steps? So if I do certain actions, I can, take higher steps in this company. So you need to, think of, we are hiring mid-level with like $3,000 or whatever. The pay scale, if they are going to seniors, they will take that with incentive. If they are going to a lead, to an engineering director, to, for example, CTO, to like a co-founder, this is some sort of a career growth roadmap with certain responsibilities and with certain pay scale for them. I need to understand if you have like 2 tiers for each role, or like 3 tiers. So both of them like 5 years of experience, but maybe this talent is 5 years of experience with a corporate, where like they dealt with maybe big systems and different infrastructures, and just 5 years of experience, someone who worked in a software house the whole years of experience. So there's something you need to have like different tiers for different pay scale. And after you gather data and understand it's not only a salary race, and you have different tiers and different roles, you need to understand also that your compensation, your offered compensation package, it's not only money. And this means, and I do not mean like money is not a major thing, it's a major thing, but if you and another company, if your company and another company are competing on the same talent, and you offer, for example, $5,000, and the other company is offering $7,000, the talent can choose your company because with your $5,000, you can offer a lot of things based on what you understood from the talent needs that can compete with the $7,000. And that's why I see a lot of good talents. Maybe they leave a very stressful environment, or environment with a strict, or like maybe with a tough leadership, that you need to be in office every day, that you need to log in at 9 a.m., that you need to do be online, all of that, for a less salary, but with more convenient and better lifestyle and growth and branding. That's why we have corporates, tech talents leaving them and joining startups. And why is that? Because startups definitely, they will not compete with the salary big corporates offer, but they will compete with their strength points. What are the startup strength points? And here is, I think, like a direct answer to your question, Abdullah. Think of the following. I mentioned, I think I listed like 10 points that you can compete with, and you can design your compensation package besides the salary. Think of a base salary. And here I mentioned currency because it depends. Like you can pay certain talents in a currency, in your local currency, that's not stable with a US or Euro currency. And maybe you can pay them in your local currency, or like in US that's stable. So like think of offering them a base salary. Actually, you can list these points in your Excel sheet and write an input on the other column, in front of it. And performance bonus. Okay, if you are doing XYZ as target, or like if you are doing certain hours, if you are doing certain milestones, if you are doing certain KPIs or OKRs, and this is very crucial to manage tech team. I'm replying to Atif, I think, or like we were talking about managing tech team, Asim, I think, about managing tech team remotely. If you do not have certain KPIs or OKRs, objective key results, key performance indicators, then you will have a challenge with, like, you know, a huge debate at the end of the quarter or like at the end of the month when they tell you we did our best and you tell them no, I was expecting X, Y, Z. So like you can offer a performance bonus on certain clear communicated targets or like numbers or like milestones or like sprints or whatever. And the third thing that you can offer is a profit share. Okay, you will have 10% of the profit if you are exceeding this limit. So we are a profitable company, hopefully, as a startup. So we are a profitable company, and we can give you like 10% if you are exceeding 20% net profit, for example. So this is another thing that you can offer, and you can list all of these points in your compensation package, not just take salary and you'll be working from home. You are not playing with your strengths points. You are not playing with your weapons. You are losing the battle. You are losing the salary race. One of the things also that health and wellness benefits is that, okay, you can give me $5,000 instead of 7,000, but you can also offer me entertainment package. So every quarter, every month, every whatever regular duration, you can give me entertainment package for a spa, for cinemas, for going out with my family, for travel, for whatever. So instead of paying that on monthly basis, you will offer it on a regular basis. And health, which is medical insurance and social insurance and like life insurance and these stuffs and these points. So like you can also offer that. And actually the good thing that with big number of employees, you will have a discounted rate on these benefits from providers. So you can really save money. Paid time off. You can offer it. Okay, you will work the whole year, but you will have your local vacation if you are working in another country, and also you will have like maybe 10 days paid time off to travel with your family in Christmas or whatever. Also, I know personally like a very senior level, but she's not a tech person. She's a chief commercial officer in a company that she left a huge offer, a big offer, to another company that offers less because she's a recent mom and she appreciates like flexibility, and this startup offers her flexibility than the corporate life. So you need to understand what are your weapons, what you are gonna offer to the talents compared to other companies. And flexible arrangements, like, okay, you can work from home 3 days a week, you can work hybrid, you can work in office. This is also something you can offer with the compensation package. And last but not least is career advancement. Like you can offer them, you know, tickets for events. Tech people, they appreciate, you know, keeping updated with their tech stack, with the community. What if, okay, you understand their preferred tech events, you ask them about that in the beginning, and maybe they list, you know, DevFest or like whatever, and you secure like one of these events as a ticket for them. That's one of the things that you can really play with, or courses or certificates. So here you are playing with a two-sided edge, you know, edge of retaining them and giving them a chance to, you know, develop and be in the company, and another edge is to offer something in the compensation package that maybe it's not out there, like you are using different approaches. Last two things, and I'm gonna refer to the last point because you asked about it, about the ESOP. Last two things is the company's brand and culture. I have a friend who's very well known in his tech company because he's conducting regular meetups for the tech stack he's, you know, capable of. So let's take example PHP. He's a PHP Laravel guru. So it's a framework. So he has a community for people who's working with PHP and maybe people who's working with CodeIgniter, Laravel, with different, you know, frameworks, and he conducts multiple meetups in his company premises. So this makes, you know, any talent like thinking about joining your company or not, when the talent thinks about, okay, I'm gonna deal with this, figure. I'm gonna be part of a community that's very well known. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be part of environment that gonna put me on a spot in the community. This can be one of the things that you can compete with. Companies, brand, and culture. That's why I mentioned in the very beginning, employer branding is very, very crucial. So one of the things that you can use is, what if you keep posting about your team achievements on like bi-weekly basis, on monthly basis. So like talents will come, okay, maybe you are not that seen in big companies, but will be seen in startups that will highlight our achievements and so on. Last point, which is also a critical point, which is ESOP. Let me share with you my insights about it. And I think I'm not sure who said it in the very beginning, but Makan maybe said it, or like or Asim, or I'm not sure who said it, but they said I'm not like a good person with CTO to offer them a lot of things, but maybe with the product person. So actually for ESOP, it depends. Let me share with you different examples because it really depends. There is no one size fits all. If you are hiring couple of developers, junior and mid-level, and you do not have that much budget, definitely the equity you are offering to them is different than you are hiring a tech lead, is different than you are hiring a CTO, right? So do not think about it, okay, I have that range to work with. No, it depends. But the maximum, the ceiling for me, if you are asking about my opinion, the ceiling for like any tech role that's not, co-founder from the very beginning, that's not like leaving that's not for a person who left everything behind and jumped in with you from the very beginning, but for a person to retain during your journey, the ceiling, the maximum is 5% for your ESOP. There is the maximum, not for a co-founder, not for like someone who started the whole thing from you from the beginning. From like 1% or like 0% to 5%, you need here to assess the whole thing. So let me tell you different examples. So what if your company's valuation is like 100 million, for example, 100 million, and you own 100% of the company. So like 1% of your company is almost $1 million. So you can play that approach with the talent. Okay, your salary currently in the market is $10,000, but I only can give you like 5,000. So we can, exchange the 5,000 left that I cannot pay you for equity. And maybe you are staying for me, you are staying with me for vesting 4 years. I think you are familiar with vesting and cliff and all of that, right? I will take your Hamza and Mukannad head as yeah. So like maybe you will stay with me like for 4 years at least. So let's talk about the number of months, and maybe the company valuation will change and all of that. So you can balance between the current or like the last round valuation versus their current salary in the market. And that's why I told you in the very beginning, you will never win the salary race, and gather data first. Because if you are ignorant about the latest, salaries about the talent, I can sell you myself that I'm the guru of, this tech stack, and I will be the one who's gonna make your company handle like millions of users instance and so that. But you need to understand, you need to understand the salary structure in your company and gather data, and you need to have a sense of evaluation that will be developed over time, that this talent really deserves this equity or not. So getting back to what I was saying, the ceiling is 5%. It depends if you are hiring like a lead, for example, maybe you can offer 1-2. If you are hiring a CTO coming after you built your company and after you secured your investment, and CTO is not a co-founder from the very beginning, is not a full-time founder, is not someone who really believes in the vision, like not someone who just wants to spend 2 years with you and leave the company, maybe you can offer up to 5%. There are different approaches. I mentioned one is a salary thing versus a price of this talent in the market. There is another one, which is a communication, like very simply communication. You communicate with them and you go back and forth, you sleep on it. There is no need to decide on the final percentage right now. Okay, let's talk about this. My input is X, your input is Y. Let's sleep on it. Let's tomorrow talk about it. And time by time, you can have this. And definitely, once it's done, you need to think of how to incorporate this in your cap table, how to incorporate this in the legal structure, whether it's offshore company in Delaware, AGM or whatever, or the LLC company. And at this point, the talent will be, feeling like I'm not in a safe zone because I was promised with something, and the employer is not taking, fast steps or quick steps to do it. So it will be till you have something written. It will not be, stable on both sides. So you really need to take actions after you agree, after you take the probation period, after you really make sure this talent is the right one. One last thing before I take your question, guys, that I'm from school of do not offer it right away, which means take your time to use all your weapons. You have here, I listed some of different examples. So you can start with salary, and after 2 years, maybe if they want to leave because they are seriously good and they are not bluffing, and there is another offer, and they are good and they are a key player in your company, you can offer with a salary something else, and with something else you can offer later ESOP, for example. So do not throw your cards from the very beginning. Do not burn your cards from the very beginning. Have different cards you can play with over the years. Because let me tell you something, and actually I'm gonna say it after maybe the next slide about onboarding or whatever, that there is average lifetime for tech talents in companies. And it's not told for employers like you or for me. The average that we have seen is almost a year and a half. Maybe they will leave before that. This would be very early. Maybe they will stay more. But to have them stay more than the average, if they are really good, you need to have different cards, play with it in different times, and to be smart enough to retain them for longer period. I think I'm done with here, still onboarding step later, but I would love to take your questions. Gannad, I think you were first, and then Hamza.
Hi, Mohammed. Thank you. So a couple of points, right? I'm trying to understand how I can utilize this today. A lot of these points are, I think, when you're a company which is a bit larger, where you can do profit shares, because as a startup, we have no profits, right? We're investing or reinvesting, performance bonuses again. So I'm how do we as smaller companies offer something which is more valuable than money, right? And I think ESOPs is a great option. But I just want to get an overview. A lot of these is what I got in a corporate job. When you leave a corporate job, a lot of these disappear until you're at the Series A or B. So what do we do until we get there to make sure the package is not just financially beneficial, but we as startups can afford these additional benefits?
Okay, this is a good question. Let me tell you two things that I went through personally. One of the things that above all of that, above all of the compensation and pay scale and gather data, above all of that, is do they really believe in what you are telling them, what you are offering them, what you are doing in the company, or just they are exploring the startup, scene because it's sexy and there is events and there is, spot on it and all of that. So one of the things that you really need to do is that whatever contract you have with them, whatever package, whatever, benefits you are offering, if they do not believe in what you are doing and what you are building, they will leave eventually. So one of the weapons that startups use to retain and to attract good talents from their, stable corporate jobs, that you have a lot of positive stimulations, that you have a lot of, ideas, that you are building something big, that you are selling them. Okay, if you are asking me, because I'm CEO of my company, if you're asking me what are the two things that CEOs should do in their life all day, all the way from just pre-seed till the exit, is selling products, selling their ideas, selling their hypotheses, selling their vision. They just need to sell. And other things, they just need to manage and attract the good talent. These are the two things that CEOs should do. So answering your question as first point, you need to get people who believe in what you are building and they have sense of ownership, like you exactly, as first time, as a founder who started first before them, or maybe you have the idea stack or something. So they need to believe. Second point, I just mentioned an example of a real case, a very, very well, qualified chief commercial officer, a friend of mine. She was working in a very big entity with a stable job and everything, but she left it for another job that's less paid because she needed one thing of the things that I mentioned. She needed flexibility. She doesn't want to work from 9 to 5. She doesn't want to work on like a lot of things that's repeated, that there is no innovation, that something will not let her think of out of the box, or like own something, or will not let her get to know people. So you can also offer that or sell that. So mainly to answer your question, you have the accountability to sell your vision, to sell your company idea, to sell your visualization for the future for anyone who's joining your company. And second, you really need to understand what they are looking for and offer it. Because not all of the people looking for money. If all the people looking for money, you wouldn't see people leaving corporates, joining startups, and you wouldn't see a lot of startups joining Taqadam, because why would I leave my stable job and build a company that's very, full of ambiguity and full of unknowns, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna raise or I'm gonna continue, but I'm doing that because I believe in something. So this is my experience. Just play with, these two things. Sell them your vision, let them, you are welcome. Let them own something in the company, and also understand that they are different. All the talents are different. So maybe this talent is looking for flexibility, the other one is looking for exposure. They are not known in the corporate. The other one is looking for certain brands. They would love to be featured, in the magazine and Forbes and whatever. And they will not. This will never be in corporate as like part of a big machine, but maybe will be a huge part of a small machine.
And I just quickly want to talk about your ESOPs, right? The philosophy. So as a small company, we have an ESOP program, but we have a slightly different culture. We don't look and we look ahead, right? So we look, can these people take us from 5 million to 50 million? And if these are the people who we give away part of our company to can get us there, then we tie their ESOPs to revenue of the company. So they're on the journey with us, which means that we're not giving away equity until it reaches a point of significance, so our own stake continues to grow, right? So just sort of like just a wider topic is ESOPs, we believe, is a tool to get us to the next stage, not to retain, is to grow our engine.
This is another perspective. This is another approach, and thank you, Kenneth, for sharing that. There are different, methodology. Like you can apply ESOP with your talents. One you mentioned, like they can, return it for revenue once we reach this. One, okay, what is the current valuation for the company? But like at the end of the day, you have a tool that you can play with it, in addition to all other tools to attract and retain talents. Thank you, Hamza. Your question.
Hi there. So I guess I wanted to share my experience with, I had some mixed, let's say crazy experience with trying to offer something different to attract talents. So one time I offered the chief security officer of ABC Bank, the group, to join us in exchange of flexibility, where she can work percentage of time from the office, the rest she can decide wherever she wants to work from which time. It worked. She came in with less package just because of that. So because of the success, we thought, okay, let's try it again. We were trying to hire another senior tech talent from different country to join us in our office. And he had offers, one of them from me, which is from us, Facekey. And he had something that his wife is going to do an operation within a month. And he asked if possible, he can wait till then to come and join us. So we offered him an extra flexibility. We said, okay, we will give you 2 months, okay? So you even can stay with her for an extra month and then you can join us. So actually he accepted our offer because of that, but then it came back to bite us because after she done the operation and she said to him, why are you going to fly and leave me alone after all this? And I'm, just done an operation and I don't know what might happen to me and things like that. So he asked for an extra month to convince her. So we gave him an extra month. After that, he resigned. So So the extra flexibility for the second person didn't work actually. Because if we brought him earlier, he might not resign at all, and we lost him. So this is just my experience with that. It's kind of sometimes it just.
Thank you, Hamza. Thank you. It's really helpful to share like your guys' practical experience with us. Thank you. Safe.
Yeah, hey guys. So, if you'll allow me to share my experience with the ESOP and how we do it in our startup. So, the aim for us is to give everyone an ESOP, all of our employees. And the idea here is that there is a 2 years cliff. So, it's in total 4 years. But if they don't stay for 2 years, they don't get anything. And on top of that, when they get promoted, they get a new ESOP agreement. So a different one on top of the original one. So let's assume that they will get promoted every 2 years. The first one will make them stick for the first 2 years. But once they get promoted and we issue a new ESOP for them, this pushes them to stay for another 2 years and so on. Obviously, one of the good advices that I got in regard to this is not to talk about percentages. It is to talk about the value of the ESOP itself. And so basically money. And as a founder, you need to understand very, very well how is your trajectory going to be. So in our example, I'll give for example, we at a pre-seed or before we got funding, we were at a certain valuation, let's assume like $3 million. But after we raised, or when we raised it as $6 million. And we were able to sell it to our employees is that, listen, if you joined us 3 months ago or 6 months ago, we were at 3 million. We were able to double the value of those shares in like 6 months. And we're planning to raise funding in 18 months at whatever valuation it is. And we give them like this overview of those shares, how will they be valued in like 2 years, 3 years, and so on. Obviously, don't lie too much, don't exaggerate, just be realistic, and they will always work toward that goal with you. So this is basically what we are doing with our team.
Thank you, Saif. And it's very insightful. If you remember, guys, I told you in the very beginning, like try to benefit the most out of this beautiful community and this beautiful gathering by sharing life lessons like that. It doesn't mean because I'm delivering the session that it will be from one to many. No, like make it between each other, like ask each other about how we are offering that, what is the salary range. And actually, I mentioned here about gather data first, ask fellow entrepreneurs. This is what we are having right now. So before we go to the last couple of slides, Abdullah Masoud, I think you asked me about the ESOP and compensation. Did you?
Yeah.
Did I question?
Yeah, you answered my question, but probably for tech talent, such things would work. And as I think Makunda said that about the bonuses and all of that, as a startup, we don't have that leverage to give them to give the employees such benefits. So ESOPs would be something that we can consider. For tech talents, I can see that happening, but for like other operational positions, we're finding it difficult with them. They would want the reward now, not later. They're not looking for something in the future, or that's what we're
Actually,
experiencing.
yeah, actually, this is a good point because it depends on each country. In each company, what are like the main crucial core domains and based on their business model. So for example, maybe it's operational for companies, for other companies it's technical. If it's SaaS, maybe for logistics it's operation or whatever. So yes, it depends on tech or non-tech, but you can call it, you have different points you can play with it with the talent that you want to retain, but do not get like fall in the trap of losing a lot of equity with a lot of employees in the beginning. That's why I mentioned the first, like really the first thing that CEOs should do in their companies is to sell. You really need to sell. You You just need to sell your product, sell your company, sell to investors, sell to your team. Once you sell, you have money in. Then with the money, you can, you know, hire team who sell for you, like who can do things for you. So after you sell and you have money, you can use the base salary and performance bonus, maybe if other, like, you know, factors can be included in the compensation package. And after that, if you'd love to retain operational or tech talents, you need to see two things, as I mentioned. Like if they really believe in what you are doing, not just 2 years and they will leave, because there's not kind of talent you would love to have in the beginning. And also understand it's customizable, like it's not one size fits all. For talents, maybe it's flexibility. For other talents, it's being like, you know, in decision-making mechanism. For a company, other talents, like just in getting to know the ecosystem of startups. So you can use different models with them.
Yeah, I think for us, like what we're seeing mostly for the operational side, we're giving out bonuses like based on the like sales, based on profits, based on certain KPIs that we're selecting, which is working with us. But at the same time, when the performance is not that great, their income becomes lower. They would start to consider something else because their main income is coming from those bonuses rather than the salary. So yeah, but for the tech talent, it was challenging for us in the beginning, but right now we somehow managed it with ESOPs just recent, like 2 months ago almost.
Perfect. Sounds great. Okay, let's forward. Thank you, Abdul. Let's move forward to the next step. I know you guys, like, you got tired. I see people leaving the room, but خلاص. And I'm finishing in a couple of slides. I see Rahaf is crying and Mariam is drinking water, I think. Okay. Okay, for the onboarding, let's like remember of, you know, let's remind each other of what we discussed so far. Employer branding, getting CTO, building a JD or like building a profile of what you are looking for, sourcing, assessment, interview, you offered, and then خلاص you have talent in-house. You would love to onboard the talent. Onboarding, like it has 2 stages. Pre-onboarding, before they start, actually, if they are starting 1st of November 2024, you can start onboarding from now, mid-October, like 15 days before, like even before that. How? By first, you need to structure your onboarding process. And because we are founders, we have a lot of things. We wear many hats. We juggle between many functions. We like do things, you know, casually. We do not do it like in systematic way, which is okay. I'm like you guys, but I'm telling you how to fix this to get good results. So first, you need to think of the steps and the timeline and the materials. You will have it in place in your Google Drive, iCloud, or whatever, for your new employees to, you know, get through it. So for steps, for example, step 1, they need to know about the company history. They need to know about the management team. They need to know about the current team, not the founder team and everything. They need to know about the products and product knowledge and seminars and training sessions and all of that. These are the steps, different steps. Just write it on Excel sheet or like Google sheet. It's very simple. And put like a duration and a timeline. Okay, this step, it may take like 1 week for us to onboard them on the team and get them like to know different people. And just to know the vision and mission and objective behind what we are doing, maybe it will take like 5 hours and all of that. And like besides the steps and timeline, attach if there are materials, like mention if there are like PDFs, video link. Maybe you can record actually a video by yourself and tell the story of the company so you will not repeat it every time. The AI solutions, I will talk, as I told you here, I'm talking about the mindset and practices more than tools, because tools are everywhere. But there are tools that people can build a chatbot where they tell the chatbot everything about the company and let the new employee talk to the chatbot about the onboarding. So this is another example. So first, structure your onboarding process. And pre-onboarding, before they join, before like they officially join, you can tell them about the team, about the company, about the culture, like what we do, and if we are going out, if we are committing to certain values, if we are meeting regularly, whatever. And if there are like login credentials, like email, like admin, like database or whatever, you can give them like trial, or you can give them the real so they can try it. And manage their expectation. Tell them, okay, we are doing 1, 2, 3 in the first week, 4, 5, 6 in the first 2 weeks, 7, 8, 9 in the first month. So they will understand what they are going through after you hire them. And this really, really, really makes a huge difference with their perception about your company. Whether you are like a good company, even if you're not paying me much, or like a chaotic company, which is a startup. But try to make it organized as much as you can. Give them steps, give them materials, give them timeline, and manage their expectation. Once they are onboarded, let's take an example. The onboarding is 1st of November, and you started the pre-onboarding steps since 15th of October. In these 2 weeks, once they are onboarded, think of the 5 simple actions. Think of the buddy system. Usually, anyone joins a new company, they have, someone they will click with, they will like be a good friend with. Either you notice this or you assign someone to be a buddy to the new employee. So, okay, I'm joining the operation team in your company, or like I'm joining the back-end team in your company. You will tell Mahmoud in your company, who's the tech team lead, okay, you will be buddy for the new talent. You will stay with him. If you are in office, or like maybe you will be his go-to person if he asks any question online. So like you will assign a buddy, and then you ask that buddy about that new hired talent, and you ask the new hired talent about the buddy, and all of that. And organize social activities. Okay, we have recurring social activities that we eat together, and you will join us. That we have a birthday party, and you'll join us. That we have a farewell party for the guy who's leaving, and you came, and instead of this guy. So like organize social activity. If it's online, if it's remote, it can be also social. Like, okay, let's open the camera and let's talk about a new movie. Let's have a WhatsApp talk about football game. Let's either like going out if we are working remotely in the same country, or like maybe we can plan a trip and you're joining us. This gives them like sense of, okay, I'm getting into something good. I'm feeling good about it. Technical setup, definitely. If there is machine, if there is like screen, or like if there is anything they will need, whether it's software or hardware. Bi-weekly check-in every 2 weeks. Ask them, do you have any feedback? Do you have any questions? How do you feel so far? And sessions or materials, which is I managed in the steps and planning the onboarding process. Trust me, guys, what I'm saying is very, very simple, but maybe because you haven't thought about it before, you think it's much. But all of that can be done in one Excel sheet with multiple worksheets, like whether for onboarding, for sourcing channels, or whatever, and tools I can share with you at the end. Do you have any questions so far for the onboarding and for the offering? We have the last part of the session. Any questions? Thumbs up. Okay, thank you, Hamza. We're losing people, guys. I know I'm exceeding the 2 hours now, but khalas, just 10 minutes. Okay, management and retention. This is the last thing. After you built an employer brand, a good one, like understood what you need and what are the hiring needs, and you started sourcing, assessment, interview, offering, onboarding. You want to manage and retain your tech people. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, whether like for 20 years of experience CTO, or like for a new CEO or a CTO. But the only thing here is that you need to understand that your management style needs to cope with the current situation. Do not tell me, okay, I came from background of corporates that I need to organize everything, and I need to see people working in front of me. I need to see the login, and I need to talk to them, and they just need to respond back. This is not gonna help you with scaling your tech team. So you need to adapt to what you are having right now. If you're having a 2 developers tech team, your management style will be different than if you have like a 10 developers tech team. Here, like you are gonna delegate, but the first case, you need to be heads down with them and understand their needs and so on. So just be flexible to cope with the current state. That will help so much with retention. As I told you like a few minutes ago, average lifetime of a developer in a company is almost 1.5 years. So try to like this is based on our experience. This is based on what we saw with a lot of companies actually. We have developers leaving after 1 year. We have developers staying like since we established the company. We started TechieMatter 4 years ago. Until now, we have a CTO who like we hired for one of our clients, and they are like still together till now. So it's not something, like common with all of companies, but what we saw is 1 year and a half. So we try to extend it as much as you can and try not to lose the tech talent before it, and try to understand why they are leaving after a year and a half. And the key word for everything to retain any talent, not only tech, is a positive mind stimulation. This is how I call it. I'm not sure if it's something out there or not, but this is what we noticed. Try to stimulate their mind positively. Give them challenges. Let them, contribute to the decision making. Show them up like in the events. Take their opinion. Let them, attend certain meetings per their seniority level. As long as you stimulate their mind positively, like with their work and their focus and their domain, they will keep staying with you. Definitely, besides the other things that I mentioned in the compensation package. Regular recognition, it really help with the retention. You may think that only money help with the retention, but just having people clapping for me for doing something good, or like being on a spot, or like maybe being mentioned in a Slack channel or something, this really helps with feeling appreciated. And you can use your network for mentorship. So actually I did that with my friend. I have a friend who's very good in business development. I asked him, okay, come and give like a 1-hour session business development for my team, and or come just mentor my business developer, because he's my friend, he's my network. So use your network to offer mentorship to your team, so you can retain them. Okay, Hamza, thank you. Last thing for the retention, look, last 3 points or 4 points, you can conduct internal group learning circles. Like, okay, you have a couple of teams. Okay, guys, let's gather every 2 weeks to discuss a book we read, or to discuss a session I attended, or to discuss a concept we got to know recently. This is a very, like, it's very cost efficient. There is no cost for that, but it helps very much with the retention, because and you can rotate it. Okay, this week is you as a CEO talking about certain topics. The other week is the talent. The other week is another talent. The other week is the other talent. And offer flexible hours. I think this is one of the things that currently in 2025 almost is crucial to retain a tech talent. Do not offer rigid hours. We saw it common. Even flexible hours that can decide whether your work setup is suitable for the candidate or not, whether it's a remote, hybrid, or in office. And last but not least, work setup, as I told you, remote and hybrid. And you push for work-life balance. I know it sounds cliche, that actually I'm working a lot of my time, but I want you to imagine if you are a managerial position in your company and you tell your tech talent or your team in general, okay, Muhammad, you have been working hard the last week. We did that, but the result wasn't as expected. It's okay. I appreciate that. Try to take tomorrow off. Or maybe your birthday is tomorrow and there is no urgent need for this talent. Okay, go celebrate it with your family. Or maybe go get your kid from the school. Just take 1 hour off from the work. Go get your kid from the school and come continue working. This thing coming from upper hand in the company, it really helps with loyalty, retention, and engagement. And the last thing that I said it in the very beginning, that accept the facts that maybe you will do everything right, but the talent, something happened in his life. Maybe he applied for a scholarship to continue studying, or like maybe he got an offer from a US company that offering like 10 times what you are doing. So accept the fate, accept the fact that, okay, you did your best, but it's okay to have, talent leaving and other talent coming, and to keep this loop closed and not lose talents. Try to have what they call like, handover program. So like, I know companies, they do not have any budget, but they rely only on junior developers. However, it's not scalable. However, it's not a good thing for, scalable infrastructure or like scalable company, but they have junior developers or interns. Like they retain them like for 2 years because of the budget and everything. And once they retain them, they bring other developers before the second year, ends, to let the all developers, hand over and teach the new developers. And they have this, what they call intern cycle, or like junior cycle, pipeline. Maybe it's not the best thing when it comes to like technical infrastructure, but this is their strategy. I'm done with management and retention. I just have one slide to close and recap everything. Do you have any question, guys? Do you have any input? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Okay. I'm thirsty, but not now. I'll drink later. Okay. Last thing I would love to mention is you are lucky because you are part of a very good program in a very growing ecosystem like Saudi Arabia that offers a very good program for tech hiring. And actually, I came across these two programs. Maybe Mariam, you can share more details about it if you have more info.
Sure. So NTTP has a lot of great initiatives in terms of tech hiring and support to CTOs within Saudi companies. So they currently have two types of programs that support that initiative. First one being Boost. So Boost supports tech CTOs with covering a part of their salary. So meaning they provide coaching, mentorship to CTOs in addition to giving you a salary, especially if you're a first-time CTO, you're just starting in a startup and you're looking for support. So they actually help subsidize your salary from 7,000 SARS up to 13.5 thousand for over a period of 1 year. Another thing, they have tech crew. So in terms of you, as Mohammed has been saying the whole session, you're requiring support in terms of hiring tech people within your startup. You're not sure how you're able to subsidize them. You might not have enough salaries to compete with the market right now, and you require additional support. So they're able to cover 50% of tech employees' basic salary, up to 25,000 SAR, which is a great amount in Saudi. So I would definitely check out these two programs, part of NTTP, as a great initiative to add as part of your packages as well.
Thank you, Mariam. Thank you. Abdullah, yes, go ahead.
So just the second one, so you said up to 25,000, that's for how long? Is it for 12 months as well, or?
So far they change it from year to year, but so far they do it for up to 1 to 2 years approximately.
Okay. Good.
So yeah, I know good times, come to it. We discussed a lot of topics. Let me recap it for you, and there's time for having a lot of questions if you have. We discussed, I wanted to take you on a journey of understanding the big picture of building a good employer brand for your startups, that you have an edge, that you can build a really good brand for your startup with just simple things. And after building an employer brand, if you don't have a CTO, how to find the CTO? Is it really a CTO or a different title, or a product manager or another title? And after that, we talked about defining your hiring needs. Do you really understand what you need? Do you take it from bottom up? Do you think of other companies, how they hire? And after defining our hiring needs, let's talk about sourcing. You can use solutions. You can do your sourcing on your own, and you can build your own pipeline. You can do that through employer branding, just build a good connection, good relationship, not just connection with the people. And after you built your sourcing, and after you hired mid-level and above from the solutions we talked about, you would love to assess and interview and evaluate their technical capabilities and non-technical personality. So you have different aspects. We talked about STAR model, we talked about psychometric, we talked about technical, try to give them something you are facing a challenge in your company right now. And also we tackled the idea of do not make it too painful for them, and do not make it misleading for you. After assessment and interviewing, okay, you came to conclusions that you would love to hire a couple of talents, how you are gonna offer them an offer, what is the perfect compensation package for them. It's not one size fits all. You need to understand their needs, and you have different points, and you have different items you can select and drag and drop and design your bundle. Take your advantage as a startup compared to corporates with stimulation, with selling the vision. Your responsibility as a managerial position, whether a CTO or a CEO or whatever, is to sell your company and to manage and retain talents. This is your main objective. So try to do that right, and accept that you are not perfect. You do mistakes, and you will learn, and you ask for mentorship, and you ask for help. After hiring someone, we talked about the onboarding process, pre-onboarding. If you have like 2 weeks before, maybe they have time to work with you before the joining date, but you need to have a very simple, clear into steps onboarding process with like, okay, timeline, steps, material, and everything. Once they are onboarded, think of how to retain them and manage them. And if you lose a talent after like 3 or 4 years, this is very good, this is not bad. And if you lose them before 1 year and a half, as I told you, then you need to understand why they are leaving, how to retain them, what are your tools to offer them to be in your company, manage them like differently. I told you like managing tech talents is different. Do not take it as managing salespeople, not make it as managing accountant or like operational people, and accept the fact that it's okay, you are learning, you are doing your best, but the reality is, and maybe it happens, you did everything right, but you will never be able to retain them forever. That's it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If you don't, I think you are free to go now, guys.
Mohammed, are you going to be a host?
I'm going to be, unfortunately, not in Chaos, but I'll be exhibiting in Seamless in Riyadh and also Biban in Riyadh. So if you'll be in Riyadh in Seamless or Biban, I would love to meet you in person.
Yes, I'm going to be there. I hiked Kilimanjaro as well, so I would love to discuss that with you. Like
Nice,
3
nice.
or 4 years ago, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's talk about it. Maybe we can talk about
Khalas, we'll meet in Seamless, definitely.
Yeah, one thing I want to add here, by the way, Muhammad is part of our expert. So for all of those who are interested to have one-on-one with him, please feel free to check the mentor page and book with him.
Okay, shukran. Now, yeah, one last thing, because I promised you guys, there is a 20% off for all of our products, whatever you take, whether it's recruitment, assessment, interviewing, ER, managing the team, and payroll. Just email your needs to info@TechieMatter, and definitely we'll make sure you will take the percentage. And you have my email too. محدش رد عليك if none of the team responded to you, where you'll find me on LinkedIn with my name. And that's it. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mohammed, for your time with us here today. I'm sure everyone is now a step closer to perfecting tech hiring and retention within their startups. So thank you for giving us the time and for sharing all your tips and tricks around that. So please reach out to Mohammed if you have any questions. Again, as Rahaf mentioned, you can find him under the mentor's profile under expert. He's available for you guys. Book a one-on-one and utilize that aspect.